Hey everyone, how are you today? This is Bess McCarty, founder and coach with the MLM Millionaire Club School for Network Marketers. Today I promised to bring you the best communication model that I've seen in 30 years of being a body-mind therapist, and that is compassionate communication. It's also called non-violent communication. This is the book cover here. And it's written by Marshall Rosenberg. And it's a very simple four-step process. But first, why learn it? Why am I talking about this? Because it's for when you don't know what to say in the right way. Let's say that you know something needs to be said. You can't just be quiet, but you don't know how to say it without alienating the person or without including judgments or blames or criticisms or demands. So this language, this real simple four-step language, literally eliminates all that and replaces it with a language of compassion or a language of love. So Marshall has called it nonviolent communication, and some people call it compassionate communication, because he believes that the language that I just mentioned, where we do judge people, demand, criticize, blame, is harmful to them. It's alienating, and it's harmful to our spirits. So he created this. This can be used, this language has saved marriages, has saved businesses, and all types of relationships. So it's good for business, and it's good for personal. It's good for family, friends, kids, how parents can talk with their children in a way that engenders love instead of alienation. Hi Tom, welcome. We're talking about compassionate communication today, Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication. And it's exactly like you were describing on your post about Tom Chenault, about wanting to be, longing for 30 years to be, or how many years, to be understood by your father when you realize that you didn't understand him. And so this is what I see. Someone recently called it a battle of the wills. Two people desperately trying to be understood, desperately vying and striving and trying so hard. If he just understands me, if I just say the right words, if I just say it louder, he'll see how right I am, or how he'll understand me. He'll understand that I wasn't to blame. He'll understand what a good person I was. I didn't mean it that way. Please understand me. Please understand me. And all the while we're fighting so hard to be understood that we neglect to hear the other person, and so they can't hear us. So it's like a standoff, isn't it? A battle of the wills and opposing ends of the fighting ring. So I realized how important lately it can be to seek to understand rather than be understood. I think if I try to understand first, then the other person might just be able to understand me. But they certainly can't if they're so busy trying, feeling hurt or feeling urgent to be understood themselves. So I think that when I encounter this, when I encounter someone not able to understand me or hear my viewpoint, that's the time for me to listen and give them the gift of being understood. And St. Francis says that in the prayer, seek to give love rather than to be loved, or seek to understand rather than be understood. That has really hit home with me. So I would like to share with you the 4 steps that Marshall Rosenberg describes in this book that are so simple and have really played true with me, my family, my business, every relationship over the last 30 years. I learned this from my teachers and enjoy passing it on. I share it to clients and students. And the 4 steps are real simple, and I will put it in writing for you in a little bit. 4 steps are: 1, observe what you feel. Observe, make an observation. 2, say your feelings. 3, say your needs. 4, say your requests. And I will describe each of these. Welcome, Shar. Glad to see you. So, number 1, the observation. Do that like you're a reporter observing the situation. When you came in the door and you said what you did, rather than when you came in the door and when you talk to me like an idiot, that carries judgment and blame, and it will engender defense rather than understanding. You're really wanting to be understood, aren't you? So don't work against ourselves by using words that criticize and blame and judge. That right there is the death of being heard, right? So let's say, okay, I'll go to step 2. And that is to say your feelings. This lets you be vulnerable. And I have a giraffe puppet in the other room. Should have brought that. In nonviolent communication, it is taught using a giraffe puppet that speaks the language of love or compassion, because a giraffe is the land animal that has the largest heart. And so we want to be like the giraffe and stick our neck out and say our feelings, even though that's being vulnerable. What that does is it genders the other person's compassion. And so we might say, when you came in the door and you spoke with me like you did, I felt very sad, or I felt scared. Let's say I felt very sad when you came in the door and said, why did you throw trash all over the yard? I felt very sad because I want you to know I didn't throw the trash. The wind blew the trash all over the yard, or something like that. So that the third step is the need, what you are needing underneath that. And a need can be a human need, like compassion, value, understood, to contribute, to be valued. Hello, Doc. Hello, Chris. The fourth step is the request that you have. And I'll make another example. Let's see. When you, mother talking to her son, when you came in tonight with your muddy shoes and left mud footprints all over the carpet, I felt angry because I had just cleaned it. And I like to live in a clean house. Would you be willing to vacuum that up when it dries? Rather than, what's wrong with you? I just cleaned the floors and you come in and you put mud all over it. You know? How dumb is that? You know, be aware of the mud on your shoes. So it simply takes the blame out. When you came in and walked on the floor with your muddy shoes, I felt angry because I need a clean house. Request, would you be willing to clean this up when it dries? So that's an example of at home. Remember, the 4 steps again are what you observe, what you feel, what you need, and what you request. And so in business, if you, let's say that you have an upline who starts bossing your team around or interferes with you and starts telling your team what to do when you feel that was your job to do, and all of a sudden they are stepping in and kind of overriding something you said and saying something else, and you feel angry about that. So what do? You know that you can't just not say anything. That won't feel right, and you'll just simmer, and eventually it'll come out in some bad way, right? That will be harmful. So how do you do it, and how do you say that in the right way? And, well, here's an example. Remember the observation, feeling, needs, and request. So you could say, Elaine, when you sent that email out to my group contradicting what I had just told them in yesterday's email, I felt frustrated because I would like my team to respect me and follow my leadership. In the future, would you be willing to go through me to talk to my team and okay it with me before you communicate with my team? So that's it, very simply, right? It's sort of naked and devoid of any judgment, blame, criticism, or demands. And otherwise, Elaine might get the silent treatment, and it could be blown up at later. You always do this. Um, um, you know, why do you always do this? Second way to use nonviolent communication, thank you very much, is to hear. I just spoke about ways to speak. And guess what? Ways to hear, it's the same thing. It's the same 4 steps. Observe it, you hear, or try to interpret, or you try to re-hear that in the form, or reinterpret that in the ways of observations, feelings, needs, and requests. So, the person says to you, your upline, let's say that you told your upline you would do something with your team, or communicate a certain message to them, and you'd fail to do that. And they say to you, why do you always do that? What's wrong with you? You know, how can I help you if you're gonna act like that? And what you can say in return to them to make sure, to clarify, to make sure you understood. Elaine, when you asked me to send this email out to my team, were you angry because it did not get sent out? And you would like me to follow your directions without asking? She'd say, yeah. And that's the point where you can say, well, I can understand that. Would you be willing to hear my side of it? When I received your email, and it contained information that I did not agree with, I did not believe I wanted to communicate to my team, I did not send it out. In the future, would you like me to get back with you and tell you that as soon as, like within a few days, instead of waiting past the deadline? She'll say, yes, that would work. Or perhaps then we could arrive on a common communication we could both get behind. Would you like me to do that instead of just putting it aside and forgetting about it or getting too busy? And I'm sorry, that's what happened. I got too busy and I forgot to get back with you. So there's an example. Hello, Linda. Welcome. Hi, she says. Glad to see you. And by the way, people watching this, if you like to type in where you're from, then I can give a shout out to you from your city. And if you're new, just say hi so that I can welcome you if you're joining me on these calls, these Tuesday calls that I do, if you're joining me for the first time. And also if you have a comment or question about this topic of communication, when communication is difficult, when it's tricky, love to hear your thoughts. We are discussing compassionate communication, or I'm letting you know about this, and would love your comments about how to communicate compassionately or with love instead of in ways that harm, like blame, criticism, judging, demanding, putting people down, trying to outdo them, trying to force your way. I'd love to hear that. I'd also love to hear any questions or comments that you have that I can then share with the group too. And if you think you know someone who can use this and benefit from this, then please share it, because the sharing is caring. So, Linda, watching from London, originally from Zimbabwe, welcome. You having fun in London? Okay, sharing. Now, why do people do this? Why do they use a violent type of communication? Because we're role model. I mean, it's so ingrained to do these things and to criticize and say, what's wrong with you? Why did you do that? That was dumb to do. Won't you do it my way? Won't you hear me? Please hear me. Please understand that I'm right, that this is the way to do it. This is the way to grow your team. Why won't you follow my leadership? You know, I'm here showing you what you can do, and you're doing something different with your downline. We do this because we are trained. We're role models from our parents and people that we see growing up around us. And also because when we feel backed into a corner, when we feel there's no other option, we often turn to force, even in our words, trying to get the other person to see, trying to push for our viewpoint. And what that does is makes the other person want to defend against us, doesn't it? Have you ever noticed how is that working for you? Does that ever work for you? Even parents with kids, clean your room or I will ground you. And one father said he tried using the heavy-handed method with his son, trying to use force and authority and clean your room. Why? Because I'm bigger than you. Because I said so. Because I can make you. Because I can ground you. I can make you sorry if you don't. And that's sort of trying to use force. And this same father said that he got more results when he would value his son and appreciate him and praise him for what he did right. And then when he didn't do something that he was supposed to do, he would say, I'm very disappointed in you. And that got more results than the heavy-handed method. So that, again, he said his feelings, right? When you didn't clean your room, when I asked you to clean your room and you didn't do it, I was very disappointed in you. Because we need to get in here and vacuum and see what kind of food crumbs or bugs or whatever is under all that toys and clothes on the floor. Because we want to keep a clean and healthy house, an orderly house here. So we value having a healthy, happy home. And cleaning up your room every so often is part of that. Would you be willing to do that? That's observation, feelings, needs, and requests. Okay. Let's see. I have a little saying that he who listens most wins. And that would be the seeking again to understand rather than be understood. So I find that when I am in a battle of the wills, or striving so hard by someone that I care about or it matters to me to be understood, and they're doing the same thing, I'm trying to get myself to recognize that and just stop and listen and really hear what they're saying and sort of put aside my viewpoint. Because one of the reasons I'm striving so hard is like, oh, they're trying to change me. They're trying to talk me into their way. They're trying to change my opinion or my viewpoints or my values or my beliefs. And I don't want to be changed. I don't want to lose who I am. So I better really fight to keep who I am and sort of overpower the other person and talk louder or talk stronger or try to come up with more examples to prove I'm right so that I can defend my position, defend my rightness. And I found that never works. And the person never hears me and understands me anyway. So what if I just listen? What if I just stop and put aside my viewpoints and say they're going to be over here. They're going to be right here. Nobody's going to change them. They're going to be there when I'm done. And I just let myself listen to the person and see what they're saying and use that even in my mind that I'm hearing. What are they observing? What are they feeling? What are they needing? And what are they requesting? And that's what compassion is, right? It means feeling with or standing in the place of another person, standing in another person's shoes. Feeling with. Come is with a companion, and passion is feeling. So standing and feeling with another person, standing in the feeling that they're trying to tell me through these blaming or angry words, and see what is really underneath. Oh, are you scared when this happened? Are you worried? Are you scared that something is going to fall apart and you would like me to da-da-da-da-da? And so that's hearing in giraffe, or hearing with compassionate communication, or hearing with that nonviolent communication method. So we can do that either way. It's also called giving empathy to the person because we're able to stand in their shoes. When we do that, and they go, yes, that's exactly what I mean, and da-da-da-da-da, so they'll either clarify it or they'll add to it, probably. If there's more passion inside, they've got to get out. So were you feeling this because you were needing this, and you would like this? Yes, that's exactly it. Like, oh, it's plain as nose on your face. Yeah, you got it. And then they feel relieved because they were understood. It's such a human need that we have, a human need to be understood. And or they can say, no, it was this. And then you can reflect that back to them. And you can keep going, that active listening, mirroring back, and reflecting back. And you can keep doing that until they relax. And you can tell they settle back, the passion is spent because they've been understood. That thing they were trying so hard for. And then you can ask them, would you like to hear my side of it? Which is quite different. And remember to use observations, feelings, needs, and requests so they can really hear it. Otherwise they'll be defending themselves against your judgment, blames, and demands. So this works in business, at home, and family. I'd love if anybody has a comment about communication challenges you might have, insights that you have had regarding this, or questions about communication, or what do you say in a difficult situation when you say there's just no right way to, there's no easy way to say this. How do you say this? This is a good place to ask that question. Lay it on me. Give me a question, and I will give it back to you in giraffe, or in compassionate communication language. It's not easy to learn and to remember it when we're so full of ourselves, and we're so used to telling and teaching, is it? And I was Facebook messaging with my good friend Pilani Schneider the other day, and she mentioned how she's teaching her team, actively teaching her team listening, and they're getting it. And if I have the words exactly right, I'm not sure, but Pilani said close to this: I know they're getting it when I asked them how their team is doing, and they said that their team said this rather than I told them this. Isn't that beautiful? That's kind of rare and not easy to remember to do. To ask how you're doing rather than tell somebody what you should be doing. But listening is very, very powerful medicine. Very powerful way to understand where the other person's coming from, so that you could perhaps offer a suggestion. And we want to offer suggestions, right? We want to ask permission. Would you like to hear an idea? Oh, you're struggling with this and this. You're unsure how to talk to people. You procrastinate putting off your calls. Why do you think that is? What do you think can help? Ask plenty of questions before offering a suggestion. And then I can understand how you feel. I felt the same way. Would you like to hear what helped me? Or would you like to hear what helped Mary over here when we worked together? And so we can ask, can't we? Rather than ask permission to solve a problem. Or maybe it's a prospect that you're talking with. You think that, or you believe that your product or your business would solve their health problems or solve their financial problems. Maybe they just can't quite see it. And so you can ask questions about what they're needing, whether it be health or wealth, and find out what their problems are. And if I could show you, but ask plenty about that. And ask them about their challenges in their life, really hear them, and reflect that back with empathy. That is the secret ingredient that I'm bringing teaching network marketers. Not just Feel Found, but ask plenty of questions about that empathize. Gee, how did that feel? How does it feel to be away from your kids that long and travel so much? Gee, do you miss their games and their plays and their events and their birthdays? I don't know if I could do that. What kind of a toll, what kind of effect does that have on your family? And how is that for you? Can you see yourself doing this 5-10 years from now? If not, do you have a plan to get out of it? If you don't have a plan, I may have an idea for you. Would you like to hear it? If I could show you how to be home with your kids just in a couple of years, would you like to hear it? Thank you for the loves. And so I offer a workshop teaching this, how to always get a yes, using these methods, especially the delving into the empathy part, which I have not seen taught anywhere else to this degree. But the more that you do that, the more you know that you can get a yes, or the more that you know if you should offer if you're aiming for always get a yes, you know if they're ripe and ready and hungry for the solution that you have to offer, to see that 7-minute video that you have to show them how they can be home with their kids. So kind of following along the lines of this compassion or nonviolent communication is the empathy method that I evolved and taught deeper with my method, my inviting method of how to always get a yes, inviting to your business, your product. And I am leading these 30-minute workshops for you and for people in their team. If you'd like to know more about it, simply message me here on Facebook, and I'd be glad to have a chat. We can talk, and I can let you know a little bit more about that. Any comments, questions about compassionate communication, how it can help and enhance your relationships, bring understanding? And of course, once you give the gift of understanding, then the person can relax. They're not fighting so hard to be heard anymore, and then they can hear you. So if you want to be heard, if you want to be understood, if you want your message to be gotten by the other person, see if you can first give it to them. If you're talking with your team, for example, and let's say you have a team of 20 people, and only 6 made it to the call, the very important call that you hosted last night, and your upline spoke on very important news and information. And you did record it, but you specifically asked them to be on so that they could interact and ask questions of your upline with this very, very important new announcement that your company has. And only 6 got on. And you're disappointed that the rest, that all said they would be there, and then that they didn't. And you could say to them, when you said that you would be on the call, and you were not, I was disappointed, because I want the best training for you possible to give you the best shot in your business. I want to help you to reach your why and your dreams and your goals. And I believe that this could have done it. Would you mind telling me what got in the way, what was more important to you? Just so I can understand your values. And the person might say, I forgot, my father had, I was in the hospital emergency room with my father. My son asked me for help with his homework right at that time, and I decided that was more important. But then you can learn their values, and you can see, and of course you can offer them the replay if it was recorded. But that would be a way. And if they forgot, Jim, if you forgot, would you like a suggestion to catch future calls so that you don't miss anything, so that you can fire your boss sooner? Yes. I like to set alarms on my phone a few minutes before a meeting, because I get busy too, and I would forget things without it. Do you think that might be something that could help you? Yes, Jim says. Yeah, I think so. Thank you. So we ask before we give solutions or suggestions. So that's it for today. Nonviolent Compassionate Communication, a book by Marshall Rosenberg. You can find it under Google, either Amazon for Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life by Marshall Rosenberg. I'll put that all in writing for you after we get done with this post. I hope that this helps make for better relationships, happier communications. They say that communication is everything, right? It all rests on that. Very important to think what we say, think before we speak, and see if it can be put into observations, feelings, needs, or requests. Now, even if you don't do those 4 steps or forget them, if you just think, they can actually be done with no words. That's what this author says. You can actually do that if you just adopt the attitude of love and caring and respect and compassion. Even if you don't remember the 4 steps, even if you just listen, even if you just look at the person with understanding or compassion and caring, it can be accomplished too. So don't worry about needing to remember them. However, this book can really help you to get there too, and get you thinking in different ways than you were raised, than we're in a habit to in this society. There is a way to talk with each other with love, and this is the best, easiest method and suggestion and role model that I found. So I'm sending love to everyone. Hope this makes your business and also personal life more wonderful. Is there anything that I can do to make your life more wonderful? Please leave it in the comments. Please share this video if you think that it can help someone. And if you would like to know more about my free workshop, Always Get a Yes, which includes the empathy method, for your team or your upline, just message me and we will chat. Leave your phone number there and then I'll call you. Okay, thank you very much. Everyone, take care. Thanks for joining in today. Bye-bye.